Hey, kids. We're going to go ahead and do Thursday and Friday, week 4 NTI. So, you guys are get her done. Remind you that I put the grades in for week 1 and 2. And if you have a missing assignment for week 1 and 2, that means either 1, you hadn't turned it in, or 2, you need to put your name on it. I emailed everybody with the pictures of the handwriting so that you can check and see if possibly that's your handwriting. You didn't put your name on it, so we can get that figured out so you don't have that missing assignment. All right, so let's do the first one on Jewish traditions. This is when Jews were forced by the Romans to leave Palestine in AD 70. They began 1,900 years without a homeland. As they settled throughout the world, many Jews assimilated into cultures of their new community by following local customs and speaking local languages. Still, they maintained religious beliefs and customs, even though it often resulted in persecution. Eventually, many Jews settled in the United States. Their impact, like many who have settled in America, have shaped our national culture. Today, more Jews live in the United States than in Israel. For nearly 2,000 years, Jews have maintained their customs despite being scattered across the world. The Jewish people retain their heritage through perseverance and rigorous study of ancient Hebrew text. And that is, of course, if you remember, we called it the diaspora, the spreading of the Jewish people. Number one, what effect did the Romans have upon Judaism? Well, by forcing them to leave and spreading them out, they spread Judaism throughout the world. They didn't have a homeland. Number two, how did the study of ancient Hebrew texts help sustain Judaism? Well, as they studied it and got to know it more, and they came more, I'm trying to think of the right word. They got to know their religion a lot better, and because of that, they spread it more, which helped sustain it and spread it. All right, looking at the panel of Ashurbanipal, the Assyrian. It says this relief of Ashurbanipal hunting lions is from a palace at Nineveh. It depicts a ceremonial hunt where Ashurbanipal, aided by servants, hunts lions who are released from cages into a closed arena. Many reliefs depicting stories were used to decorate the king's palace. Hey, there's the bell, in case you missed it. I'm at school today. It says the depiction of the king is idolized. He is muscular and attractive, signifying his strength and importance. Servants are shown protecting the king from the lions, attempting to attack the king from behind. The lion are realistically represented. They are depicted as strong and noble, which adds significance to the king's victory. Making inferences. Where does the hunt take place, and why might this be significant? Well, it takes place in an arena, and they're caged lions, and that's significant because they can contain this lion, and they aren't going to allow this lion to kill the king. If you're out in the wild, there's going to be a bigger chance that this lion's is going to have a lot of room to run and get to the king. Number two, why do you think Ashurbanipal hunted lions rather than other types of animals? Well, lion is the king of the jungle, right? The king and the big boy of I guess the Pride Lands if you watch The Lion King. So it's the most majestic animal, and it's a sign of power. The Persian Empire. We talked a lot about this with the Greeks. It says explain why the royal road was constructed and why it was constructed where it is. Well, the royal road was constructed obviously for travel reasons, for the army to move, and it was constructed to connect their major cities. Sardis, Nineveh, and Susa are all the major cities in the Persian Empire. How do you think the empire was divided? Excuse me. How do you think the empire was divided into satrapies, or what we talked about, or the satraps were the local governors? It says, how do you think the empire was divided into satrapies? Redraw the map of boundaries for the satrapies. Explain how what you have done, what you would have done. Um, I don't really like this question. I probably shouldn't have put it on there. It's okay if you did it already. If you didn't do it already, I don't care if you don't do it. It's okay. You can get rid of that question. So if you did it, good. If you didn't, no problem. I'm not going to count it against you. The monsoons in India. We talked a lot about that. Warm and the winds that bring the wet and dry seasons. Number one, where are Mumbai, Chennai, and your guess is as good as mine how to pronounce that, Cherrapunji located? Wow. So you need to look there at the map. And when I look at the map, I notice that they are all on the coast or all on a body of water. Looks like, if I can see here correctly, Cherrapunji is up there on a body of water as well. So, yeah, they're all on bodies of water. How does the location affect the precipitation in the city? Well, the closer they are to the water, the more rain they're going to get, and the more, if you notice, the winds are going straight towards those cities. So if you look at the chart here, it's going to show you the precipitation of the three Indian cities. Notice that the most precipitation is going to be up there in the north, and I'm assuming that's going to be a lot of right off that Bay of Bengal. It's going to be a lot of rain. So you can see here the month of June and July is going to be the most rain. And the more, it looks like the more inland it is, and the more water that's surrounding it, the more you're going to get. That's a tough question. It's sort of hard to understand and read there. Oh, you're tardy. So I will say the answer is going to be the more water it's around, the more rain it's going to get. All right, changes to the Indian civilization. It says the Indus River Valley began to gradually decline around 2000 BC, and its cities became deserted. In 1500 BC, major changes had taken place in India's written language, religion, and social order. Today, there is still debate among scholars surrounding the reasons for these changes. The social changes are the caste system was developed. The economic changes are shifting away to farming and away from trade. And cultural changes are in arts and the religion of Hinduism and the development of Sanskrit, the language. And this is the city of Mohenjo-daro, which we talked about with their toilet systems. What are the roles of the Varna? Well, the Varna were the levels of the caste system. So they were to the social hierarchy of the caste system. Drawing conclusions. How did India's civilization change? Well, it changed by the introduction of Hinduism, and it changed the introduction of their new social hierarchy, the caste system. It changed economically to farming and away from trade. It changed socially with the development of a language. So there's a lot of things you could have put for that one. It said Harta Gautama. You should know that name. This is the individual that is considered to be the Buddha. And we've talked quite a bit about his story. So let me read this aloud to you, and then we can answer this question. It says, all that we are is the result of what we have thought, said Siddhartha Gautama. Through meditation, Gautama Buddha discovered the middle way, a path of moderation with worldwide appeal. Emperor Asoka first spread Buddha's teachings through India. As Buddhism spread, the religion developed its own artistic vision of Buddha. For centuries, he is represented as an icon, not a human, so all representations of Buddha are symbolic. Often, he appears seated in meditation or reclining. It is shown with signs of his of his enlightenment. In this image of Buddha, the bump on the top of the head symbolizes his intelligence, and the long earlobes portray his perception and spirituality. Why does it matter how Siddhartha Gautama looked? Well, they want to make him look like, 1, he was wise, 2, that he was enlightened as the Buddha, 3, in proper Buddhist meditation. So they wanted to show him as this perfect example of what Buddhism should be. All right, let's look at this map of the 3 Indian empires: the Mauryan, the Kushan, the Gupta. Which areas do the 3 empires have in common? Well, you need to look and see that areas that all 3 have in common. You're going to see it's around Hindu Kush in the northwest part, if you look there. Because notice in the key areas that are common with Mauryan and Kushan empires, and then the red line as well goes through it. How do the location of these empires relate to the trade routes shown on the map on page 78? Well, we don't have page 78 here. But I'm going to let you answer that one on your own because I would have to look that up. Sorry about that. It's completely my fault. I think it's on the next slide anyway, so we'll go back to that one. Trade routes of the ancient world. Yeah, here we go. It says, and look at the key first. It says, which physical characteristics along the overland trade routes caused hardships for caravans? Well, you're going to have problems with mountains and rivers and bandits and, deserts. It's not going to be a pleasant, and weather. I mean, it's not going to be something easy to do. And the cities are so spread out. Major cities are so spread out. Why are the multiple parallel routes in the same or in some places? Because there's going to be a major city or an oasis there so that people can stop. And also, this is going to be a trading area within itself where different trading routes are going to meet so other trades can be established. Now, going back to this question here, how do the location of the empires relate to the routes shown on page 78? So if you look there where the empires are, and then you compare it to this, you can see that they're all going through a lot of the major cities in the empires. And if you notice, especially in the northern part of India, and look at all the stuff that's traded there where all the empires had their influence. So trade route's going to go where the empires are flourishing so more goods can be established or be traded. All right. As early as 1000 BC, this is the Silk Road. As early as 1000 BC, caravans carried luxury goods from China to Persia. Finally, in the 19th century, the ancient trade routes was dubbed the Silk Road in honor of China's most famous export. According to the legend, the wife of an early emperor discovered how to spin fibers from a silkworm's cocoon. For centuries, the process of making silk was well kept known only in China. China maintained the monopoly of silk products for several hundred years. And this is going to show you how that silk became more prevalent in the establishment of silk from China to the outside world. Farm women in ancient China raised silkworms and produced silk as part of their household duties. Ancient Persians unraveled silk cloth and rewove it into Persian designs. When Alexander the Great conquered Persia, he demanded enormous quantities of silk as spoils. Roman statesman Julius Caesar limited silk to his exclusive use. In AD 550, monks smuggled mulberry seeds and silkworm eggs out of China, ending the silk monopoly. And then the questions down here, I made this a little bit bigger so you could see. What motivated merchants to undertake the long and dangerous journey along the Silk Road? Money. Money, 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 money. Okay, they wanted to make money. Number two, what made silk such a valuable commodity? Well, it was only made in China, and the people who wanted it the most were not even close to China. So, I mean, if you have, today's so much different. We have airplanes and we can ship stuff within a day across the world. Well, it would have taken years to get from China to the Roman Empire. So this was such a luxury good and a valuable commodity because there's not much of it. It was scarcity. And last but not least, the dynastic cycle of the mandate from heaven. We've talked a lot about that in China. And we looked at something similar to this on our slides. It says, why did the Zhou dynasty develop the concept of the mandate from heaven? Well, because they had to find a way to get power, and one way to get power was to convince the people that the gods didn't want the Shang in power. They wanted to do something to convince all the people that the gods didn't want the Shang in power, and they did so by using this mandate from heaven idea. When bad things were going on in China, that's how they convinced people that a change had to be made. Why do you think each of the dynasties came to an end? Well, probably bad things were happening in that dynasty. A mandate from heaven was called upon. Another family comes in and convinces the people that a mandate from heaven needs to be done, and that dynasty is overthrown. And you could also put for military reasons, civil wars. There's a bunch of other reasons. So, have a good weekend. Next week, you're going to be doing some things. NTI week 5. I'll be doing videos with it. I don't think I'm going to do as many because there's not as many you will need. But let me know if there's anything you need and email me and take care of yourself.